What? Top Shelf.
Where?
On Triple J. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
It's been a while, actually, since we've spoken.
Is it? Well, you said 3 years earlier, is that right?
Something like that.
Okay, so 3 years was when we were there on tour, presumably.
Ish.
Fish.
How are you feeling today?
Okay, thank you. Not too bad. Bit of a peculiar morning. Heathrow shut down today. Lots of planes hanging around in the air. Lots of cars on the road not going anywhere.
This is the state of the world at the moment. For people that don't know, basically there was a terror plot or something in High Wycombe, just outside of London, and Gatwick Airport shut down. I mean, this is pretty much where this record's coming from, isn't it? Your record, the state of the world.
Maybe. I don't really. In a way, it's I get really twitchy when it's not sort of a conscious decision, but everything always ends up getting absorbed in my work, I suppose, in the lyrics and things. But I mean, I suppose I'm obsessed by things like infrastructure collapse and stuff like that. Yeah, you're right.
Why do you get twitchy?
It's quite lovey-dovey, this record. It's nothing to do with politics. Not.
Well, one review said it's kind of like sad love songs, maybe even breakup songs. And Thom doesn't like reading his own press or knowing about it. Is that fair?
Oh, I'm so sick of. Well, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think it's best not to know, really, because it tends to sort of hang with you afterwards. You go, that is it. Nowadays, I definitely do a lot of the old la 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 thing
with fingers in ears.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not talk about the critics. Let's talk about the rest of the band. What do the rest of the band feel about the record? Have they heard it? Have you played it to them?
Yeah, they've got it now. I was a bit worried about that, but that was fine. What do they think? I think they like it. I know most of their partners like it.
Why were you worried about how they'd take it?
Well, just because it's a bit of a weird one, you know. But we talked about it beforehand, so they all knew it was happening. So, I mean, obviously, if they thought it was shit, that wouldn't be great.
Was it a record you felt you had to do?
Yes. Oh God, yeah. It was something that been hanging around for a while. I mean, I don't really want to jump in and do another one, especially. What was nice about it was going away and focusing on something that wasn't really your head and getting out of that sort of feeling stuck inside the Radiohead thing. I don't feel stuck inside the Radiohead thing anymore, so that's a very good thing because that was always a bit of a problem. So.
And now, do you kind of feel like you're out on a limb at the moment?
Describe the limb a bit.
You're promoting this album, and yet I imagine you guys are kind of halfway through recording the new Radiohead record and getting ready for V Festival. So is it kind of double life where you're by yourself promoting this record, but you've got your Radiohead stuff to think about as well?
It's got a bit stretchy at points, but it's been alright actually. It got a bit messy in America because, like, on all the days off, I was doing promotional stuff, which means you end up getting kind of stressed out and it gets a bit confusing. But in terms of the Radiohead stuff, really, we've done lots of work, but we're kind of starting again from scratch at the end of the summer for the rest of the year, and not in terms of the songs, just in terms of how we record them. And the festivals is, to be honest, a bit of a welcome distraction at the moment. This, like, the Razor stuff is basically all done, you know. It's sort of doing its own thing. I didn't want them to be too mixed up. They did get a bit mixed up. It's much better to put all your energies into one thing at one time. It's very, very difficult to, like, put two heads on or whatever, because you start thinking, well, why would I choose to put this piece of music here and not here? And you end up thinking, ooh, shit, that's exactly the same chord progression as that one, and I can't use that lyric because that's too slim, and it all gets a bit hairy. So I'll try not to do it again.
Is it a relief to get that record out and done and put to bed?
Um, yeah. It's a relief to uh, not feel part of this big monster sort of structure thing that I've always felt obliged to be part of. Um, and it, it makes me sort of see what I do personally as freed up a bit, which obviously hopefully will benefit like working with the band and team as well, I think.
Interesting too, you decided to put it out on Excel away from kind of the corporate parlophone EMI machine.
Well, yeah, Excel is sort of the biggest independent, but yeah, it didn't really feel right to put it through EMI, this one, to be honest, because it was a lot of reasons. It was done sort of out of the way, without anybody seeing, without anybody actually knowing about it, really. And it wasn't. It was just sort of gut instinct thing. It definitely didn't feel like the right thing to do. And we met Richard and everybody, and it was like, yeah, that's a good idea. No offence to EMI, really, particularly. It just wasn't a good idea at the time.
Radiohead technically without a deal at the moment?
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? I like that. Oops, sorry. There's not much I can say about it, really. It's just, yes, we don't have a deal, a record deal. Hopefully it's not because people don't want to sign us. But it's more just because at the moment we really don't give a shit about that element of it. And we haven't run out of cash yet, so when we do, we'll be calling.
I wanted to ask you about fatherhood as well. Did that inspire you with this album at all?
Yep. It inspired me in the sense of worrying that my children have no future, and that every second I got would be a good thing to use to make their lives and our lives as good as possible, because it's all looking a bit twitchy up ahead.
Let's talk about some of that theme that you just touched on, because It Rained All Night is obviously about global warming. Yeah. That's the sense I get as a listener.
Yeah, it could be about that. It could be about the fact that I was ranging around in the middle of nowhere with the full moon as well at the time. But yeah, it could be many things. That's one of them, I suppose. It was also to do with a particular incident I was involved in as well, in a major flood thing, and it was a response to that, which was it was like one of those disaster things. It was horrible.
Was that around the time of the tsunami?
No, it was something else. I'm not going to describe what it was, because that sort of specifically then illustrates where I was at the time. It's annoying not to describe it because it would be much easier, but if I did, it would be a nightmare, so I won't. But it was one of those instances where suddenly you feel very, very small, and you realise that one day nature's just going to get its big thumb and squash you like a fly when it feels ready. And it wasn't anything like the tsunami. I have had friends. I'm sure in Australia it's as bad, if not worse. But I have had friends who were there, surfing friends and stuff, who, that's way obviously. But it was that sort of suddenly you witness the power of nature, and everything you're doing just seems utterly insignificant. It's quite interesting. And the sort of trauma afterwards is very shapes your perspective on human activity generally, and I guess that's where it Rained All Night came from. But initially, it was all the music was written in a flood in New York. It was one of those things where the rain just absolutely pounded, and the raindrops were enormous, and all the roads, because in a lot of America the drain system's inadequate. You wake up the next morning and the whole place is just awash. It's really interesting.
And I guess I want to talk a little bit too about Black Swan because that's on rotation at Triple J at the moment, and the line, it's all fucked up.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Crushing people like biscuits, etc.
Ooh, that's a difficult one to explain. I can't really explain that and get away with it.
What about you cannot kickstart a dead horse, you can just crush yourself and walk away?
Yeah. You have to guess.
I have to guess. You're not making this easy for me, Tom.
No, I can't. I can't. I don't wanna. I don't think so.
Sonic Youth. Fabulous. Okay, Mercury Music Prize. Radiohead have been constantly nominated, constantly. And what happens if you... okay, what's your reaction about being nominated?
I was kind of down with that, actually. I mean, just because, you know, anything that gives the chance to have the record have some sort of longevity, because everything is like... and here's the new thing, 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 and here's the new thing. Ah! So anything that was like, here's the new thing. Oh, actually, maybe it was. Come back. Might be good.
What happens if you win? What will happen if you win?
Well, it's 20 grand, isn't it? That's good.
What would you do with the money?
Friends of the Earth are getting that if I win. That's if they, you know.
And how will the rest of the band feel? They think that's funny.
Yeah. They'll be winding me up about the kiss of death and all that sort of stuff. But I'm not going to get into that now.
Okay. You mentioned Friends of the Earth. You are a figurehead for them, in a sense.
Yeah.
And you famously turned down meeting Blair, I'm sorry. It's hard to... You can confuse them sometimes. You still stand by that decision?
Absolutely. Not least of which because his cards on the nuclear issue came out fairly and squarely. I think you're choosing to go the same route in Australia as well, with no one taking account of the waste issue at all, as far as I can work out, which is frankly hilarious. If it wasn't not hilarious. So no, I mean, basically, much like in Australia, and much like most of the G8 countries, there's this thing where the governments want to keep the huge, the large polluters with a lot of cash involved in government, and a lot of corporate interests want to know that the economy will stay as it is, that energy usage can stay as it is, that we can have our cake and eat it, and the only way to do that is to turn around and for people like Blair to say, yes, it's okay, we haven't ruled nuclear out, it's okay, you can carry on as you are, we're not going to inconvenience you in any major way. And I think because most of them, like your man in Australia, is concerned that if they turn around and say, we're going to go the renewable route, we're going to discount nuclear, investment in the country will collapse. So the larger companies will walk away going, screw you, we're going to go to China, or we're going to go here and there. It's like a weird sort of blackmail situation. So it's deeply frustrating.
Why don't you run for... I mean, I guess politics bores you, but why don't you run for Prime Minister?
Because I'm a musician. And I think the climate is I don't know. I try sort of, you know, I think we should all... I mean, what I find most disturbing about it is not like the characters and they're there now. What I find most disturbing about it is the fact that people my age don't give a shit. And that really scares the hell out of me. And I'm sounding like someone from the Labour Party. I mean, you know, the Labour Party want the youth to give a shit, so they vote for them. Whereas, like, why would they vote for a compromised bunch of bullshitters? Or any of the parties, actually. So there's this general disillusionment with politics. I mean, it shouldn't be me. Obviously, I have another job to do. But I have lots of friends who are at college who are extremely good. I know, you know, involved in politics and extremely talented and could easily be Prime Minister. You know, there's lots of people out there that could do the job really, really well. The reason we, as a generation, don't give a shit is because politics now is the job of administering for corporate interests and trying to keep the population of your country quiet. It is no longer about representing the interests of your population. If it was, your man and my man would not in any way be supporting what's happening in Lebanon. We wouldn't have supported the Iraq war. The only reason we're doing it is because that's what large corporate interests wants to happen. And we, the unwashed, are an inconvenience.
Well, I'm going to ask you one more question. When are you coming to Australia, and when's the new album out? Two questions.
I don't know. Can you sail to Australia?
Considering what's going on in the world right now, maybe not.
Be a good idea. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know when the Radiohead records are going to be done. We're going to be stuck in till the end of the year and see what happens. But we've not made any plans after that at all.
How much do you love Australia?
I actually had a really good time last time I was there, I have to say. Previous to that, I'd always sort of considered the journey to be a real drag. But it was worth it last time we went. So I had a good time, especially in Sydney. It's a great place. So I would love to go back, but the travelling thing is obviously a real downer.
Thank you so much, Thom Yorke.
Thank you.